it's me again. Here we are with rolling 5 for 9 behind me. It is running. Sorry, the videos just kind of ended there. It got pretty crazy that final couple weeks. I lost a week. I got sent out of town for work, and it really killed me on the deadline. So the videos kind of stopped, sleep stopped, food didn't stop. I really like food, but everything else stopped, and it got pretty crazy. So I'm going to talk about the trip a little bit and how things went, but first I want to do just a quick little walk around on the truck, just to kind of get everyone caught up as to where the truck's at, and then we'll go from there. So I'll do that now. All right, so here she is. As you can see, the fender flares have come off. That's recent. You can tell the front and rear wheels are different. We'll go over kind of what's going on in the rear. The front hasn't been addressed yet. Those will be changing over here shortly. That's what's next. So, but the rear has been changed. I'll go over what I've done there, but we'll start under the hood. You can kind of see what's going on here. Got the catch can, battery, all the harness, that hose coming back there. That's for the oil pressure gauge. I made this vacuum block that holds the 2.5 bar map sensor, along with all the other vacuum ports. And yeah, I machined that, and it works out pretty slick. 2.5 bars is the most I can run with the E40 ECU. So, as you can see, I forgot to put the IET bung on before we powder coated it, so that's coming off, getting repowder coated. You can tell this thing is just filthy. That's what 2,300 mile trip to Pennsylvania and back will do. So we gotta get cleaned up. We have a show coming up in a couple weeks, so gotta get cleaned up. We are a dealer for Turbo Guard now, so that'll be getting covered up with one of those. If anybody needs a Turbo Guard, hit me up. You can see my hood exit, but then there's also another interesting little pipe right there, and it goes through. I got the wideband sensor and all the way back, and it actually hooks to the stock exhaust. So what we did is, this thing is extremely loud, and when you're doing a trip to Pennsylvania, it would get really annoying. So we made a cap that sits over this, and that's how we drove it all the way out there, was just this big cap on top. Eventually, I think I'm gonna cut it like right here, put a loud valve in, so I'm on the street, I can just shut it and be nice and quiet, and then open it up at the track or when I feel like it. So ECU is mounted sideways. It's different than normal. You can see Colorado water pump. Get the bleeder kit in from Faster. You can see that on our website. This janky shroud, cooling fan shroud. It's a small fan off of a Polaris Razor actually, and we made this maybe a half hour before we hit the road, so that'll be getting redone. But stock fuse block, got some relays over there for the fans and fuel pump and whatnot. There's the fuel pressure regulator, all Faster fuel rails. I'm having some issues actually. I've gone through 3 injector O-rings, and I think third time's a charm. I'm gonna have to rip it all apart and look into it a little further, but I think these rails are actually pushing down on the O-ring, and it's a counterbore hole. I think the other hole is causing the O-ring to break. So I'm gonna tear it apart, and I'll probably end up redoing those hold downs so that the rail is actually suspended and the injector's floating. We're not putting any pressure on the O-ring. So I'll get to the bottom of that and let you know, so we can learn from it. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it underneath here. You can see the coil brackets and the manifold. Pretty straightforward, where we had to cut the fender. So yeah, everything's here. I'll shut the hood. As you can see, the hood exit. I'm gonna cut some trim panels for that. This truck is just filthy right now. We've been just thrashing it and haven't had any time to clean it. So the front suspension, everything that's untouched. The rear, before we left, we did put an 8.8 in it, but we ran, when we went to Pennsylvania, we had Explorer wheels on it. wheels and tires that we actually borrowed from a friend that has an Explorer. So you can see it there leaking. That's nice. As far as shortening it, I was planning on shortening it because I know Matt shortened his, but I just moved the perches and the pinion's offset just a little bit, so it centers up pretty nice. But yeah, I just moved the perches out, and everything fit really well. So as you can see, the cowl tracks, or these are actually Matt tracks. I designed and built these myself. They're a copy of the cowl track, so nothing special about them. If I had to do it over again, I would have just bought them. It was way more work than I anticipated, machining all the little bushings and everything. So I did pull one leaf out of the back to lower it. It softened up the ride a little bit, and with the traction bars, it hooks really nice. These are 305 35/20 tires I just got on with a 1-inch spacer. Again, if I had shortened it, it would have been bad. It would have been a huge spacer to make these things fit. So yeah, that's the thing I forgot to mention is, I believe, the 90mm throttle body, courtesy of Travis Jones. He's one of our customers, huge supporter. You can follow his build on Instagram at SSSlow 6.0. He's got a Monte Carlo with a LS AR5 combo. It's pretty cool. So check that out. I was in the last video mentioning that I had the 3-bolt on there, and I was going to make a new spacer that would tip this forward and give me a little more room with the pipe up front. Well, he saw that video and he messaged me and said, "Hey, I have an extra 90mm. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it with a 90mm and maybe get some performance gains out of it or whatnot." So I said, "Sure, yeah, well, if you want to send it my way, I'll put it on." And asked him what he wanted. He said he just wanted to see it go fast, so hopefully we can do that for him. But yeah, huge shout out to him. That's great. I did make the spacer for it, pushed it out so that this will all square up nicely between the fan and the pulleys. And then the only thing I had to do was I made this adapter harness. Plugs into the throttle body and then accepts the 3-bolt throttle body connector. So yeah, thanks, Travis. All right, guys. So now that you're all caught up on the truck, I want to go to the trip. So the plan was that Thursday we were going to leave by 3 o'clock, and then I think drive halfway, just get on the other side of Detroit, south of Detroit, just on the other side. And that Thursday, I mean, we were set back a week already, so we had so much work to do. We were working around the clock, and by Thursday, 3 o'clock came around, 4, then 5, and we finally drove it for the first time at 9 p.m. Thursday evening. By 9:30, we were on the road driving it for really the first time. We pulled in a half hour at Taco Bell. A half hour later, checked the fluids, made sure nothing was overheating, nothing was leaking, everything looked good. So we decided, hey, let's go to Pennsylvania. So we started heading across Wisconsin, and everything was driving really well. No complaints. The truck drives great. We were cruising for a while, sleep deprived, dirty, and we wanted to stop, but we knew in order to make the schedule, to get ahead of the schedule for once, we were going to have to drive through the night. So we drove through the night. We saw some crazy purple lights in about halfway across Wisconsin, and we thought we were seeing stuff, considering the state we were in. And it just kept getting brighter and brighter. I mean, the whole sky was just lit up, and eventually we found out it was a huge hydroponic farm. Wow, it was crazy. You could probably Google it and look it up. It's over Wisconsin, about halfway in Wisconsin. But it was just this huge farm, and they light the whole place up with these UV lights that are all purple. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, but we continued on. We got into Pennsylvania. Probably it was probably around like 6 o'clock. We were pretty. The next day we were into Pennsylvania, and we messaged Matt. We said, "Hey Matt, we're in Pennsylvania. What's the plan for this weekend?" And he said, "Unfortunately, Saturday's not going to work anymore." And he had some stuff come up at work and it wasn't going to work out for him. So we had to figure out when we were going to do this. We hadn't slept in over 40 hours at this point. We were exhausted. We weren't going to be there till 9. We were still a few hours out. So we really didn't want to do it that night. Sunday, we really should be back on the road in order to make it back in time. So between the two, we picked staying up late that night and just hammered it out. So we pulled in. I think we had it strapped on his dyno at 9:30 p.m. The truck hadn't cooled down since Thursday. We got it running. We drove it. We didn't stop driving it until we got to his shop. We shut it off, and we dumped the oil, the braking oil. We put new oil in. We stopped at O'Reilly's on the way somewhere in Pennsylvania, picked some oil up, along with some wiper blades because it was just downpouring. And we put some new oil in it, and we started hitting the dyno. And I think the first pull was around like 550, and then 600, and then 650, and then I have 7-pound springs in the truck. I did bring some other springs so that we could. I think they're 14-pound springs, but then I started thinking, like, man, I really don't want to be swapping springs every time. I want to go from 7 pounds to 14 pounds. Well, he's like, why don't you just run a four-port boost control valve? And I said, what's that? So he introduced me to the world of the 4-port valve, and I ended up ordering one. I have one for the truck now, but that'll allow me to go from 7 pounds all the way up to 21, 22, whatever I want pounds. But while we were there, we had to put shop air onto it in order to get it up there to simulate that. So we used his air compressor and shop air to be able to hold the wastegates down and continue building boost. So at first, we did some rough calculations, and we guessed, hit it, and it was right at 16 pounds, and I think it made like 650, 700, somewhere around there at the wheels. And I think we gave it a couple more pounds after that, and it picked up a little bit. And I was gonna give it a couple more, and Matt came back up there and he's like, let's get some results. It's going on 3 a.m. He just cranked the thing up, and we spiked at 29.5 pounds, and he's thinking we're averaging right around 26 pounds of boost, and it made 882. So with that said, I'll show you the video of the dyno pull. So there you have it. We made some power, and at this point it was 3 a.m. So we got out of there and we went to the hotel and finally got some sleep. Next day I felt like hell, but at least we had a schedule at this point. So Luke and I had left and went to a Red Robin that morning, or evening actually. We didn't wake up till like noon, but we figured out what to do, and we decided we were in Pennsylvania. We weren't far from Scranton. It was kind of on the way, and we're Office fans, and we like the show The Office, so we went there, and I got this sweet shirt. Checked out the Steamtown Mall and saw the sign, so that was a good time. Started heading west again, and we were heading back, and we were coming in somewhere in Ohio. I can't remember the town, but we weren't far from our hotel, and as we were coming in, we saw the lights of a glorious place, a place called Summit Racing, and we quick made a U-turn and swung in there and checked that place out. The place is phenomenal. Really cool to check that out, see that. And we got to the hotel. We actually got in early, had a good dinner, and we started heading back the next day. And we stopped in Elgin, Michigan. And we were looking for a place to swap drivers anyway, so we pulled in there in Elgin, and I said, I wonder if this could actually be the place where the legendary Sloppy Stage 2 cam was made. And sure enough, Elgin Industries in Elgin, Michigan was right there, so we pulled in and took some pictures with the truck in front of the sign and whatnot. Did a little burnout. and headed back, and we got back actually Sunday evening. The only thing we had to do to the truck during the drive was change wiper blades. Everything went well. We made good power. Big thanks to Matt for having us and tuning the truck. Since I've been back with the truck's been running good, except for one little issue. A couple weeks ago, I was driving the truck and we were thrashing the thing. I mean, I had so many friends, you get back and everyone wants to go for a ride in it and check it out and whatnot. So it was like a week or two later after we got back. Can't remember exactly, but I was driving it and we were basically hot lapping the thing. Everyone knew another person would jump in, we'd go out and do a pull and come back. And I was giving the guy a ride at work, and we turned around and we started heading back the other way after doing a pull, and I got on it in second, and it got sideways, and then I was off the limiter, spinning the tires, so I did a no lift shift 2-3, and as I went to third, it hopped a couple times, and when I put it in, I don't know if I had it in all the way. It might have only been engaged slightly, but I remember I did a no lift shift into third, and I heard it rev up, and so I thought that I didn't have it in all the way, and it just popped back into neutral. So I went to grab it, throw it back into third, and it was still in third. I created a new neutral in third gear. So third gear currently in this transmission is broken. At the time on the street, I was making 17 pounds of boost. So right around, figuring right around 850 foot-pound of torque at the crank. So did we find a limit? Well, yeah. I mean, if you do a no lift 2-3 shift with 850 foot-pounds and you get wheel hop, surprise, surprise, you break the transmission, especially if you don't get it all into third. I don't know if I did it or not. We're gonna tear it apart and see what exactly broke. If it's a synchro, if it looks like I sheared the synchro, then probably didn't get it all the way. If I sheared gear teeth off, well, then that's the limit of third gear. So either way, third gear is broke. I have a couple more transmissions here. I'll throw another one in. It's kind of given me an idea to do a quick change setup where instead of having the bolts go from the bell housing into the adapter, I'm thinking about drilling out the adapter plate and then run the bolts into a nut plate on the inside of the bell housing, so that instead of trying to get up where it's tight along the motor and the bell housing, I can be able to just pull the bolts right out of the adapter plate into the bell housing and yank the transmission. It should make like a 20-minute job to change the transmission, and $150 a piece. I mean, I don't care at that point. 20 minutes, $150. I can go to the track and bring 3 with me and have a good time. So yes, I found the limit in that sense, but I think if you, again, everyone is always asking me, what's the limit of these things as far as horsepower and torque? You could probably, you could probably break it with even less than that if you drove like that. But that's part of part of driving the manual is understanding these things and driving it in a way to maximize its potential. And I think there's a lot more potential in it. So I got some slicks. I got the traction bars on now. We're gonna do some work. I still am shooting for 9s. I still think I can get all the power down. I just doing the no lift shift thing with wheel hop really kills it. So, but yep, that's it. So I'm going to continue working on this thing. I gotta get the front suspension knocked out. I'm actually putting crown thick front spindles on. It took me a while to find what I was gonna do there to get to the 5-bolt pattern. Spacer adapters, I didn't really want to do that. Plus, it turned out it wouldn't work. It would stick the wheels out too far. So, Crown Vic looks like everything, like the kingpin inclination angle. That looks relatively close. Steering arm looks fairly close as far as length and Ackerman. The ball joint separation looks pretty close, and then the spindle looks like it's in a relatively similar location as far as between the ball joints. So I think after I have to make custom ball joint cups upper and lower that'll bolt to the Colorado control arms and hold the Crown Vic ball joint to adapt it, and then I have to make a custom tie rod. Well, modify the stock one to accept the Crown Vic outer tie rod. Once I do that, it should bolt up. I'll pull the trans. I got a trans blanket for it now. We're gonna do as much as we can before the event. Event's only in 2 weeks, and there's a lot to do. But we're gonna do as much as we can. I won't have enough safety equipment to go for 9s at this event, but we'll run it at low boost, maybe make 600 wheel, and get a feel for the truck and see if there's any improvements. And then at a later date, we're gonna put a cage in it, 850 cert, and go for 9. So again, thanks for watching. I know this is long, but it's been a while and there's a lot to cover. So keep an eye out for more updates, either on the FabBot page, public page, or on our YouTube channel here with videos. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. Give us a thumbs up, and talk to you again later. See ya.